Hello and welcome to the January Arkansas Farm to School Network conversation focused on the topic of successful school garden programs. We are joined today from two schools that won the Arkansas School Garden of the Year contest hosted by the Arkansas Department of Agriculture. First, we have Shannon Newerth-Henson with Western Arkansas Child Development, Inc., and then we will be joined by Brooke Long and Amanda Krell to talk about Carolyn Lewis Elementary. Our first speaker is Shannon Newerth-Henson with Kiddie Kollege Alma at Western Child Development, Inc. So Shannon earned her bachelor's degree in plant science from Purdue University in 2018. After graduation, she joined FoodCorps in Van Buren, Arkansas, and during her service, she was introduced to garden-based nutrition education. Shannon has been educating students about food, agriculture, and the environment at Western Arkansas Child Development, Inc. since July 2019.
Okay, so I'd like to backtrack a little bit to the core elements of farm to school, and those include school gardens, education, and procurement. So the first one that I'd like to talk about today is school gardens, and that's just that students engage in hands-on learning through gardening and farming. At Kiddie Kollege Alma, our students really are the center of our farm to school program. Students are involved in direct sowing. Teams of 3 students help to transplant plugs. A lot of plants that we get for our transplants are purchased from a local greenhouse called Parks Brothers Inc. in Alma, Arkansas. Our students also have size appropriate watering cans that they use in the garden to help with watering, and they're also involved in pulling weeds. And then our favorite task, my favorite task, the students' favorite task by far is harvesting. Next slide, please. So I thought I'd provide a little collage of maybe that's an understatement, but a collage of pictures from 2020 that of our students harvesting produce in our school garden. Our school produced 30 different fruits, vegetables, herbs, and seeds in our program this last year. And our students also grew 5 different ornamental plants. Next slide, please. And our school garden committee is supported by eight key school community members, and these include our maintenance technician, Derek, me, our master gardener, our director, Shannon, our executive director, Melinda McSpadden, our physical therapist assistant, that is Lacey, our food service director, Michelle, she's on the call today, shout out to Michelle, our school health nutritionist, Susan, and our occupational therapist assistant, Lacey. Next slide, please. So the second core element of Farm to School is education, and that's just that students participate in educational activities related to agriculture, food, health, nutrition, and I added the environment to that. So at Kiddie Kollege Alma, we have a school-wide lesson plan, and that includes a theme, color, number, shape, and position or property. And so I thought I'd just share about a couple of the weeks that we had in those themes. So in the summer, we had farm as one of our themes of the week, and our classroom activity coordinator, Miss Janice at the time, she created a cardboard cutout cow that had milk, and the kids got to just milk this cardboard cow. And then they later used the milk to make butter in their classroom. And they also fed the cardboard cow feed corn. And then in July, we had Transportation Week, and I reached out to our neighbors at Alma Tractor Supply and Equipment. And I asked them off the whim if they would allow us to borrow a tractor for the day. And I was really surprised that they said yes, but they did. And I'm super grateful because a lot of our students are obsessed with tractors. They always wear little John Deere shirts and stuff. So they brought by a tractor. I did a bunch of research about it and was able to explain to the students kind of how it works and how it's used on the farm. And then in the fall, we had pumpkins as one of our themes of the week. And we actually had 51 pumpkins donated by the Learning Fields at Chaffee Crossing to our school garden program, and teachers use those in the classroom to explain the different parts of a pumpkin and also to harvest seeds that were later used in a taste test that was school-wide. And then also in the fall, we had Scarecrow Week, and this was so fun. Oh my gosh. The kids still interact with this scarecrow every day. I just say he's a lazy sack of bones because all he does is just sit there. But our students got to make their very own scarecrow for the school garden, and it was super fun. And then in December, we had Christmas as a theme of the week, and students threaded a modified kebab through a cucumber slice and then topped it with the shape of the week, a star, banana on top, and they got to make their own little Christmas tree snack, and they really, really enjoyed that. And then our last theme of the week in 2020 was New Year's. And this week, it actually, like during that week, had been pretty rainy. And so it was perfect time to be able to do indoor classroom activities. And so I created this worksheet that had a dream bubble, and students used old seed catalogs and they broke out their scissors and glue and they cut different fruits and vegetables and ornamental plants that they would like to grow in our garden in 2021. And I'm actually going to use that as data to help compile a sort of plan for what we are going to grow. And I'd also like to include that it is a big goal of ours at Kiddie Kollege Alma and a personal goal to include as many Arkansas child development and early learning standards. Those are absolutely key to the education component of our school garden program. Next slide, please. And then community collaborations. This is like the best part about our school program, our school garden program. I think it's the part that I really, really enjoy and our students enjoy too. So during Farm to School Month, we had Miss Alexis visit from the plant shed of Van Buren. And she came to talk about her role at a local nursery, and she brought different ornamental plants, and they talked about what the different plant parts were and what the different colors were too. And then she gifted some of our students with a snapdragon or pansy to take home to their family. And then we had Miss Alyssa from AmeriCorps FoodCorps. She serves at James R. Tate Elementary. She's on the call today. Shout out to Miss Alyssa. She came and did plant yoga with our students, and they got to pretend like their favorite fruit or vegetable, and it was super cute and fun. And Miss Stephanie, also a AmeriCorps Food Corps service member from the Van Buren School District, she serves at Oliver Springs Elementary School. She came and led an activity making little seed bombs. And so I know that this activity was 100% successful because one of our students found a forgotten seed bomb in her cubby and it had germinated like 2 weeks later. So the teacher was like, "Oh my gosh, Miss Shannon, look at this. How funny." And it was just super great. And I'm glad it worked out. Next slide, please. We also had community collaborations with Leslie and Bud Bull. They're Arkansas Master Gardeners. They maintain a small apiary, like honeybee farm, at the learning fields at Chaffee Crossing, and they led a lot of really fun hands-on activities for our students to learn about honeybees. And my favorite thing that they brought along with them was one of those party favorites. It's like a tube and you blow into it and a little ribbon comes out. And that was supposed to represent the proboscis of a honeybee, which is its tongue-like structure that sucks out the nectar. And I just thought they were great. The kids thought they were so fun. The teachers, I'm not really sure because they had to take them back to their classrooms, but they were really fun while they lasted. We also had Farmer Tom. He's from M&M Farms, and he is an organic grass-fed beef farmer. So he talked to our students about raising cattle and what that's like, and he also has free-range chickens on his farm too, and he was a real delight. One thing that he brought and gifted our students at the end were cowtails. I never heard about this candy before, but I just thought it was so funny. He raised up this bag and was like, "Who wants a cowtail?" And all the kids are like, "No, no, that's so gross." And but then it ended up being candy, so it all worked out for them in the end. I thought that was really funny. And then our last speakers that came to visit were Tristan and Miss Brandy, and they're Crawford County Extension agents. They came to share about My Plate curriculum and to talk about nutrition and also plant needs. And I will say with our, oh, sorry. I just want to say thanks to all of our community members. I like to call them our local heroes for coming to our school program this past year. Next slide, please. So the last core element of Farm to School is procurement, and that's in regards to local foods that are purchased, promoted, and served in the cafeteria or as a snack or taste test. So Michelle, our food service director, she has contacts with local farmers in Arkansas and Texas, and she purchases foods specifically or normally during the spring and summer months for our school nutrition program. And we include those in our school meals and snacks. And also, nearly all of our school grown produce is also used in our school nutrition program too. So, and the trick with that is also just supplementing. If we only have like 1 pound of blueberries, then we'll also purchase other blueberries to supplement for however much we need to feed our school and all its students. But we had in the summertime, we had lots of bell peppers and cherry tomatoes, and we had cantaloupe and foods like that. And we included bell peppers in chicken fajitas and quesadillas and chili, all different kinds of different meals, and it was super fun. And our other school garden in Van Buren, they grew over 20 pounds of sweet potatoes last year, and so we incorporated that into our school feeding program too. And we also grew edamame this year as a part of the Soybean Science Challenge through the University of Arkansas Extension Service. And so we just throw in that edamame and with our pinto beans and things like that. So that's kind of what our school meals, how procurement looks like for that. And then also we like to do a lot of taste tests too. And the way that I do this is a method from FoodCorps, and students get to try it, and then they put a sticker or make a little dot or something like that about whether or not they tried it or liked it. And the students really thoroughly enjoy doing this. And I thought I would include the middle image directly underneath taste tests is actually from a separate classroom. A teacher did her own taste test in her classroom, and students got to compare 3 different varieties of apples. And I was just like super amazed that she took the initiative to do that. She's a well seasoned preschool teacher, but I just thought it was incredible that it was penetrating. Our school garden program is penetrating the classroom. Next slide, please. And then sustainability. So this is really important to any school garden program. And our school garden program is able to be sustainable because we have a year-round school schedule. And we also have our school garden committee. So we have people from all different areas of our school contributing and benefiting and putting stake into our school garden program. We apply for a lot of different grants. We also complete professional development. And so personally, I volunteered 77 hours with the Master Gardener program last year. That's separate from anything I do here at Kiddie Kollege Alma. And our food service director and our school health nutritionist, they both completed trainings with the adult and child food care program this summer and this fall. And then we also have our community collaboration. That's key and super fun for our students, just to expose them to different professions and just all different kinds of aspects of agriculture. And financial support, we have our school garden is a part of like an inline budget item, but we also have financial support from the Center for Child Development and Family Education. And then we receive a lot of in-kind donations from, we recently got a donation from the Crawford County Extension Office of like seeds and hand tools. And Oliver Springs Elementary School has donated different growing containers, and they have also generously allowed us to utilize some of their greenhouse space. And we've received in-kind donations from the Learning Field at Chaffee Crossing and just different business organizations as well. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to share about our school garden program today. I'm really thankful for the opportunity, and I'm really excited to hear about Carolyn Lewis Elementary School's school garden program. Thank you, Sarah.
Shannon, thank you so much. Wow. I mean, you listed off countless community partners throughout your presentation. I think it really shown a light on how you're not alone in this effort. Yes, you may be leading pieces of it, but it takes a whole village to make Farm to School happen. So thank you for really having so many great photos for us to look at, and your enthusiasm for this work. It is, we can see how passionate you are about Farm to School and school gardens. Just for quick context, how many students are there out at Kiddie Kollege Alma? And do you happen to know like how long this program, like the school garden, for example, has, like when was it started, and how have you like built this up over the years?
So our school garden was established, I think, around 5 years ago by Teresa Spain, who was also a master gardener, and it has expanded a lot apparently since then. And about our school size, I would say we have a roughly 100 students that are directly impacted at Western Arkansas Child Development, and also with the Center for Child Development and Family Education. So those two organizations share our school garden program, like kind of the space, I mean.
Yeah, awesome. And the student, like the ages of the students that you're teaching too, like we're talking about preschool age students, right, too. So, often Farm to School people think like it's only happening at elementary schools or just at high schools, but you are an example of it working at early care and education spaces too.
Yes, if children can walk, if they are not a waddler, then I will take them out to the garden on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So they are totally getting their hands in the dirt, and we had a group of 3-year-olds this week harvest beets, and we're going to use those in our school nutrition program tomorrow. We're going to make beet applesauce. So age does not discriminate with gardening.
That's so awesome. Let us know how that beet applesauce turns out. And thank you so much for the incredible presentation. I don't see right now at the moment any other questions that we have immediately in the chat box, so we'll save any other questions for the end. And I'm going to pass it over to our friends at Carolyn Lewis Elementary. So on the line today, we have Brooke Long, who's the current FoodCorps service member and the garden manager at the school. And Brooke graduated from the University of Central Arkansas with a Bachelor's of Science in Nutrition degree. And then Amanda Krell is a garden committee member and used to be the garden supervisor. And currently she is a science teacher for 6th through 12th grades. So welcome to Brooke and welcome to Amanda, and pass it over to you both to go through your presentation.
Like Ms. Lane said, I am a current member on the CLE Garden Committee, and I wanted to start with talking about our committee since we had a committee before we even had a school garden. And so just some advice, if you are someone who is wanting to start a school garden, a committee is a great place to start. We have teachers, about 1 per grade level as a representative. We have parents, and we have our former FoodCorps representative this year, Richard Clark. He's on our committee, and our administrators even attend some meetings when they can. We try to meet at least once a month and just make a plan, like an outline for what we need to be doing each season of the garden. And we break into pretty much teams as we go, like who can handle what projects or who can bring what resources. So our committee, without that, I just don't think we would have anywhere near the successes that we've had as a school garden. And like I mentioned, we have been lucky enough to have a partnership with FoodCorps pretty much since the beginning of our garden. Actually, Ms. Lane, who our facilitator today, she was our very first FoodCorps service member. She really helped get a lot of things going with our program. And then last year we had Mr. Richard Clark, who's also on the meeting today. So he really helped us last year get involved with the community. And then Ms. Long is here. She'll be presenting in just a second. So that was such an excellent program to partner with, because we've either had a full-time or part-time service member, and they are also part of the garden committee. And they're able to take a lot of the ideas that we have as a committee and put them into our garden program. Because we at Carolyn Lewis, we not only have the outside garden, but we have a classroom that we call the Garden Cafe, where the kids get to have classes at least once a month on either gardening, cooking, or nutrition. So it's a very holistic program, and the FoodCorps service members allow us to do that because the teachers can't take on all of that and their regular lessons. We were lucky enough last year to have several new community partnerships. Richard Clark, our FoodCorps service member, really helped with that. We partnered with Boy Scouts, local farmers, and master gardeners. And the picture there is it's our school shed. And that was an older partnership that we made with Lowe's. They actually built that for us and stocked that. So our history with community partners goes way back. But I'm going to show you, if Sarah, if you'll go to the next slide. With the FoodCorps, or I'm sorry, with the Boy Scouts, we actually helped 2 different Boy Scouts earn their Eagle badge. I guess it's called their Eagle badge, to become Eagle Scouts. And so part of that, they have to do a community project. Well, they reached out and asked if they could help with our garden. And so some of the things that we wanted to add were, we have an outdoor classroom area down there at the bottom. And one of the scouts, he designed and built those benches for our outdoor classroom. And then the other scout refurbished our picnic tables for us. And so we were really excited to get those areas for the kids. And they did earn their Eagle Scout. And so there's some pictures of them working. Also, Mr. Clark made some connections with local farmers who came in to talk about, who came in to talk about raising beef cattle and the different parts, what the different parts of the cow can be used for. And also we had master gardeners come in and speak to the students and during some of their classes. So it was a great year up until, March for our community partnerships. And that top picture there is a picture of our space. We're a rural, kind of on the outskirts of Conway. And so we have, we have a field behind our school. So it's really pretty place for a school garden. And that was a socially distanced picture of our garden committee this summer, which leads me to our next slide. About just how we sustain our school garden. One of the things we've done in the past was to have work days where we invited all the families of our school throughout the school year. And so the committee would decide what projects we wanted to get done. And we would have like a work day on Saturday where people would bring their kids and bring their tools, and everybody would get to work. This year was obviously a little bit different. So what we did as a committee, we decided to have our summer work days. And so we met every Wednesday to just keep the garden going and have it ready for the kids when they returned in August. So with COVID, we weren't really allowed to invite a whole bunch of people, but we were able to invite our own families. And so our kids would get to come and help. And then we invited like a few families from our school to come, like one family at a time. So we met 1 week per the summer weeks, and we would have just one family. So it stayed pretty, we could all stay spread out in the garden. But we also we felt bad that we couldn't include everyone. So we had to get a little bit, creative. And so we were able to do like a drive-through harvest And so the kids came and they harvested what we had, and then we put out on social media, drive through and get a bag of fresh veggies from this time to this time. And so they were able to drive through and we were able just to hand them a bag. And so we were really happy that we still got to share the garden with our families, even though we weren't able to invite them into the garden. Let's see, another way we sustain our school garden program, we do an annual plant sale. So in the early spring, we have the kids pretty much run this, fourth grade students. They plant the seeds, and we have a grow light set up, shelving grow light set up there at the school. And so we germinate everything from seed. And then we transport them into individual containers and have a plant sale. And if you worked at a school, it kind of works like a book fair does. Each class signs up for a certain day during the week to come through, and they look at the plants, and they're able to buy them and take them home. And then and then we'll have like a night where the families can come in and purchase plants too. And so this year, we're really not sure what we're still gonna try. And just yesterday we were meeting as a committee and talking about some ways we could get our virtual students involved. And we thought we might do like an online, we could send it out electronically of what plants we have available, and they could pre-order them, and then they could do like a drive-through and we could hand them their plants as well. So with that money goes directly back to our school garden program. And so we're trying to keep a budget as well. And we get the money from the plant sale, and we also do a lot of grant writing. And so if you'll go to the next slide, Sarah, here's just some pictures of that summer harvest time that I was talking about, and the families, and Mr. Clerk was there, and the drive-through, some of our families. Actually, we had some families of former students too drive through to pick up veggies. So we were really glad we were able to share this summer, because we had a pretty good harvest. And so I'll turn it over to Brooke, and she's going to talk about the educational opportunities and also that grant writing aspect.
Thank you, Ms. Krell. Okay, so my name is Brooke Long, and when I came to Carolyn Lewis, like Ms. Krell said, the garden was pretty well built up and they had a pretty established committee and stuff. And so one of the things with FoodCorps is to, talk to the community partners or whoever's involved and find out what they want done, and to keep going. And so our big thing was like to sustain it and how to keep it going. And so my goal was to get the teachers out in the garden as much as possible too, and like on their own. And so I'm trying to build different things out there that maybe like if I'm not out there working with the students, that they would be able to walk out there and do things with their students and feel comfortable, even if they're not a very experienced gardener. And so but let's go first. The things that I do with them is we do a lot of taste testing. They take home a lot of the produce that they grow. In the fall, they took home okra, sweet potatoes, lettuce. We have Mr. Clark put in with those benches and everything that he had built last summer. He also put in a really nice irrigation system that goes through we have like 16 raised beds. So each bed has its own drip irrigation system, which allows, and a timer that goes with it, so the students can use that, or we can set it and it keeps all of our stuff watered. And so that is one less thing that someone has to do also. I built a root view box and a music wall when there's pictures on the next slide of that. And those are just some of the things that, like I said, like the teachers can go out there and they can like view the roots growing and use like science to journal about. The music wall, I thought like maybe the you know, the music teacher that could take their students out there. And so those are just some different classes, ways that I thought that they could go out there and use that on their own. We do have, like Ms. Krell said, we have the garden cafe, which is a really nice classroom where I'm able to just like have a place for the students to work inside. And we have several like little raised wooden beds that we have herbs, and I can plant other things with the students in them. And so they can see those, the herb gardens in the hallway, like by the cafeteria. So that really gives them somewhere for them to see that like every day when they're just walking through the hall, and they can go through and touch it or smell it, or and just see something growing inside also. We did something in the fall, and I worked with another FoodCorps member, Kathleen, and she we sent garden pen pal letters to George, I believe in Springdale. And so we wrote like all the grades, one of our classes, they came and they wrote letters describing their garden and what we have done. And then we sent those letters, and then we are waiting for those to come back from all of her classes. And so that was a really good, the students really enjoyed that. And they all keep asking like when we're going to get our letters back. And that just was a way to incorporate what they're doing in their classrooms too, like when they are writing and stuff. And so the Arkansas Grown School Garden of the Year Champion of Sustaining School Gardens was the first grant of the year that we were awarded, and Ms. Krell wrote that, Ms. Krell and Ms. Tyler. And then that funding just went into our garden account for us to use for supplies and anything we need. The last two I wrote, and we got the Conway Public School Foundation grant. We wrote to hopefully to build a greenhouse. And so that way we will put that out there in our garden, and that'll give us room to somewhere for we can store our plants for our plant sale. And then the Arkansas School Garden Grant Program, we just got awarded, and we're going to use those funds for garden supplies also that we need. So here are some pictures. That is a picture of the music wall. This is the lettuce some of the lettuce. We did a taste test this day. There's some carrots. This other top picture, we did a choose your flavor popcorn. And so we had the popcorn, and I had different herbs and cups for the students to use, and they put it in their bag and shook their popcorn around. And then we went to our herb garden inside, and we picked herbs from it, and then came back to the classroom. So they really got to pick it, to see it like grown, like in its natural state. And then they got to see the container from the store and how you buy it. We talked about the prices, how it's dried, and the different ways that you can cook with it, like in seasonings and sauce, like spaghetti sauce and different things. We had like basil, oregano, parsley, garlic powder, and maybe that might have been it. But they really, really loved that. And so that was a fun, cheap, good like snack and way to do all that for them. And then here is some pictures there's our root view box. That's a My Plate thing we did outside the hallway of the cafeteria, and we have the plates with different pictures of like, we used their school menu and put different pictures of like the food that a picture of that food that they eat on their school. And then I had a printout of a nutrition label, and it had all the nutrition facts of that food, so they could see like the different, just have that, just see that more and be aware of it. This up here in the corner is a noun pumpkin. And so we did that with our grades, and we took just different farm and home magazines, and we cut out different things in them. And then I would hold them up and ask them, if it's a noun, a person, place, or thing. And we would just kind of be creative with it. But that was a easy and fun interactive way with some of that was a kindergarten class. So really way to work with the younger students too, and teach them what nouns are. And so then we had a Christmas tree in our garden, and we made bird feeders. And so we took apples and put like fake peanut butter on them, and then the bird seed, and we read a book with them, and then we hung them up in the garden for the birds to eat, and the students really loved that. Down here in the corner, that's just some more of our taste test stuff. Those are apples and Brussels sprouts, because we grew our Brussels sprouts are actually in this picture with the school garden year sign. And then those little photo props, those are some things Miss Krell helped we made and put out in our garden. And that's just another way for the teachers and the kids to play, use it on their own and have something fun to do out there. And then down the last picture, we did like a deck during Halloween, like decorate your pumpkin. And so that was just pureed pumpkin out of a can. I put on a plate, and then I had a plate with like different icings and sprinkles and stuff for them. And they were able to just decorate the pumpkin on their plate and then taste it. And then we talked about the ways a pumpkin grows from, seed to vine to flower to a pumpkin. And so that's just what we did there. And then we do have, like Ms. Krell said, with the community partners, there is a lot of community partners. We have someone who donates mulch for that whole area, which is a really good thing too.
So incredible presentations from both Carolyn Lewis and Western Child Development Inc. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise today. What would y'all say to a school that's trying to start a garden for the first time? Because both of you have really robust, experienced school gardens. What might you say as like a first step, like an easy place to start with a school garden?
I really appreciated what one of the members from Carolyn Lewis Elementary said about forming a school garden committee, because in order to have a school garden, you have to know who's interested in actually maintaining it and creating it. So I think that would be my number one advice too, would be to have a form of school garden committee and just talk about what your goals are. What do you want to implement? Do you want to have music in your garden? Do you want to compost? Just share ideas.
And I'll jump on and just kind of expand on that. But that would again be my advice as well, and for all the points that you said, because there's so much that goes into it, down to where the actual garden will go. You really need to think about that as in terms of sun, how much sun you're going to get, access to water. At our school, we decided what type of garden you're going to have. If you're going to have container garden, raised beds in the ground garden. Our school had to have a bunch, when it was built, it had to have a lot of just soil brought in to bring up the elevation. And so putting plants in the ground wasn't an option for us because the soil was so poor. And so we felt like raised beds were a better option for us. And so all of those planning things were decided by the committee. And that's really the best place to start.
I have a question, sort of follow up to that. How do you go about recruiting committee members at your school?
What I did, I reached out to the teachers and I said, hey, I want to start a school garden, who is interested. And I got feedback that way. I had a lot of teachers who had the same kind of passions about gardening and nutrition with kids. And so, and then I asked them, do you have any parents of your students who you could reach out to? And so it kind of just snowballed from there. And so they'd give me some names. And I also asked, are there any community members? Does anyone have a connection with anyone in the community who's a farmer? And we actually ended up, some of our first garden committee members, they, Mr. and Mrs. Gates, they, or the couple that our school district purchased the farmland from to build our school on. And so they were just really honored to be asked to be on there. And Mr. Gates, and they still own a little area next to our school, and he has a giant garden and he's out there all the time. And so they were really excited to be part of that too.
Because I'm our school certified master gardener, I also like kind of have a dual rule where I take students out to the garden. So we don't necessarily like have a lot of teachers directly involved with our school garden program. It's mostly students, but our maintenance technician is somebody who helps a lot around our school garden. And I would maybe recommend also reaching out to custodial staff or like your district's grounds keepers. I don't really know if that's the right phrasing on that, but I would consider asking them as well. Anybody involved, anybody who you can think of, just send them an email. You never know. People are surprising sometimes what kind of hobbies they have outside of school.
Great follow-up question, Sim, and thanks Amanda and Shannon for adding those in. I want to be mindful of our time. Appreciate everyone joining today. I think this was an incredible webinar. So again, thank you so much, claps and snaps for Shannon, for Brooke, and for Amanda for their incredible expertise and time today.